of God is clear. See, it's so simple, you know. If you look at the simplicity, the littleness, the nothingness of God's presence among us, the lesson of God is incredibly small. That's why people have such a hard time learning about God, because God becomes so small, right? So it's like the biggest example is Bethlehem, the manger of Bethlehem. See, that's the biggest rock on the road for people. You know, it's like they don't understand, they don't get it. How can God be born in a manger amongst animals, stinky animals? You know, that place didn't smell any good, right? At all. I don't know if you have been in a manger, if you have been in a stable, right? Where there are mules and cows and stinks, right? It smells really bad. I'm used to, because I grew up in the country and we had to take cows from the fields back to the stables, and I'm used to the smell, but stinks. And that's what Jesus chose. And also, people think that those people of Bethlehem rejected the Lord, but it's not true, because God's will was to be born in the stable. Only that he respected Mary and Joseph's dignity. They wanted to deliver this baby in a dignified place. So they were knocking, they don't want to end up having a baby in the street, right? So they tried to do this, and God allowed them to leave their dignity. But God knew where he wanted to be born. He wanted to be born in a manger, right? Why? Because that is the first step of the lesson. What is nothingness? My kingdom is not of this world. If my kingdom will be of this world, I would have been born in a castle, guarded by angels, with bodyguards. But no, my kingdom is not of this world, and that's why I have to appear like nothing. See, and only love will understand me. So those that fill themselves with my love can see me. The rest will never see me. And that's why he will always say, those that have ears to hear, hear, those that have eyes to see, will see. Because he reminds us all the time that for us to see or to hear a spiritual language, we need to have the gift of God, which is what happens to poor Nicodemus. You remember? He was so wise, so structured, so educated, but he didn't understand the spiritual language. When Jesus told him we have to be born again of the Spirit, he went nuts. He said, how can an old man go back to his mother's womb and be born again? That's how basic he was. He was totally earthly, totally cerebral, intellectual, had no sense of spirituality, nothing. Jesus told him, you, a doctor of the law, and you don't know these things. But Jesus knew he didn't know, because he didn't understand a spiritual language. And that's why Jesus in Bethlehem is the biggest example of a spiritual language. Because if you don't have a spiritual language, you will never understand why Jesus was born in Bethlehem in a manger, in such a stinky place. And this is inconceivable for human beings.